So, I mean, there's challenges that one faces in business, and there's also challenges that one faces in their personal life. And I know one thing, okay, one of the things, in addition to a lot of things that we have in common, is that in our journeys in business, we've been divorced.
Yeah.
And then earlier on, I don't know if we were on set yet or before, we were talking about the fact that sometimes you could be chasing and chasing and chasing and forget other aspects of your life, be it family, be it relationships with people, right? How did you, bounce back from, let's say, a divorce,
Hmm.
and eventually remarry again and be happy while maintaining a successful business?
Yeah. So it's a great question. And most of us think, I can put things in compartments. Like, what, I'm getting divorced now, so everything else will wait.
Sure.
None of that happens. So if you think about it, it's like changing the wheels of the bus while it's still moving. And so if you take a step back, it's like in my head, I don't in if there's a drop down menu, there's like quit does not exist. So I knew while the end of my first marriage was looming and it was happening, I still had to show up at work. I still had to show up as a father. I still had to I couldn't drop those balls. It wasn't an option. But what happens, so if you look at the three toughest things: death, divorce, and moving house.
Moving house. Really?
Yeah.
That's tough.
So it speaks to change. So
Okay.
whether so they're just the most stressful events. And so divorce is also the death of a relationship. And so
True.
you kind of mourning and trying as much as possible to so not be at war, at the same time show up as an inspirational leader and still dealing and still being a good father and still trying to keep your own sense of balance inside, which is almost impossible because you're pulled mentally in all the different directions. So you know when you might be working out the details of the divorce, which can some cases be easy and some cases very challenging. And that time you're being challenged as a person. You know, can you be the bigger person? You know, you might you might have your character might come under like the spotlight and about it. When the missiles start coming, and you've still got to be an inspirational leader during the day, and still take your kids to school with a smile on your face. It's all about showing up despite the hostility or the change that may be happening. Um, but looking back, it was actually a magical time. And so, out of all difficulty and all chaos comes the best opportunity for growth and renewal.
Mm.
And so, what happened for me was it was an unbelievable period where I could blank canvas who's Ronen. Because what happens, and I'm sure like your audience would probably connect with this, whether it's through a job, a business, or a relationship. If it's a long term thing, it always involves sacrifice and continual kind of compromise to the extent where 10 years later, 20 years later, you can wake up and think, who am I? Where did the me go? I don't even know who the me is. And so what happened post the divorce for me was saying, blank canvas, I know who I am as a father, I know who I am as a business leader, but who am I as a person?
Sure.
And so this became, so it was the death of a relationship, which was very painful. But at the same time was the rebirth of who Ronen is, the Ronen 2.0, you could call it. And this was a period of probably about 8 years of it was such an exciting time because the one upside of divorce is you've got what you don't have in a marriage is um, you get time with your kids, you get me time, And if you're in another relationship, you have relationship time. So you actually have 3 different compartments.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got time to kind of focus on each. So that me time was so crucial in creating the new version of me, which put me into a whole different direction. And I wasn't looking to remarry, but at some stage, and I got some really sage advice from a friend. We were on a run.
Yeah.
And going into my 40s, I said, I think I'm ready to date again. And I'd worked on myself all these years. And he said, the only advice I can give you, just be yourself. And it sounds simple, but you will attract according to where you are. And so if you've worked on yourself, you hopefully attract a good relationship. I was lucky. And as they say, for those that choose to marry well. For those that don't, you'll become a philosopher.
If you marry wrong, you'll be a philosopher. You do sound philosophical. Is it because of the happy. First marriage? Yeah. So I love what you just said, because a whole lot of men specifically, most of the time, don't make it out of divorce for many reasons, right? It's like a part of them is left behind at that particular marriage or that particular relationship. Do you have any advice for men? And then we'll get into the book. I mean, it could be based on mental strength. What's the importance of mental toughness for men? What advice do you have for them?
So I've got